Hey guys, it's John, and I figured I'd run through our tally for tonight. I'll go into tomorrow's plays and just basically who I like. Uh, Rough week this week. We're still doing great since starting over 100 units. Down 15.8, that's coming into today. So we had basically today and tomorrow to have a couple good nights to get us back into the positive. Uh, Still doing great, like I said, since inception over the 100 units. I think of the last 16 weeks, 12 have been profitable, but 3 of the last 4 have been in the negative, so we want to get back into the positive. And I think we're going to get just there because, again, when I am off about things, I'm usually really off. I'll probably wind up putting this on YouTube too because I always like to go into the series. So sometimes making 2 videos is a little redundant, so I want to go into this specific series. Again, I feel like with this we might be onto something because the Nuggets have been built up as this complete juggernaut. If you watch my last video, actually my last 2 videos, I went into Anthony Edwards specifically and this ridiculous inorganic push that they've been giving him, where all these other guys just are getting the love and treatment they deserve. Whereas Anthony Edwards, it's like, yep, he's the best player in the league now. He's Michael Jordan. The comparisons are ridiculous, and it just, again, it came out of nowhere. He's been around. I get that he's young, but they really want us to know that Anthony Edwards is the best shooting guard since Michael Jordan. It's pretty crazy. So, knowing that, we took the prop for him to get 35, and he got 43. So, obviously, 40 would have been even nicer, but I just figured 8 points above where Vegas had him was, I didn't want to get too frisky. But I think this is basically what we're going to see this entire series. Like I said, I genuinely think that Edwards is going to have the best playoff series that anybody's had in quite some time. The Wolves, they're probably even money to beat the Nuggets now. I'd gone into why I think they're the only team that makes sense to knock them off at this point. Because, again, they're pushing non-super teams. And not that the Nuggets are a super team. And you could even argue that the Wolves are more of one because they went out and got Gobert and went out and got Cat. But even still, they've been around. They've been playing together for a bit, as have the Nuggets. But they still have the most talented guys, the Nuggets. And again, that's why it's weird the way they're positioning Edwards. Jokic is obviously a better player, but this Michael Jordan comparison just over and over is pretty crazy. So we got that, and I'll be going into I guess the battle. Well, I think it's going to be the battle for Larry Bird's heart eventually. But the Knicks Pacers, they're matching up, and either one would be interesting. I think they're automatically going to get the Celtics, but that's not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Cavs Magic. I do like the Cavs, but of all the teams playing, they're the most disposable to me. Either one of those teams could win, in my opinion. They're going to get washed by the Celtics. There's just no, in my opinion, ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I do think we're definitely onto something with Edwards here, which is good. Again, they're just showing basically how this guy can do no wrong. So anyway, we will probably continue taking his props, and they paid well tonight. So this is how we did tonight, which we needed a good night because we only have tonight and tomorrow to finish the week on the positive. And of course, finishing the week at positive, negative, as long as we're profiting overall, it's good. But I have OCD, so I like to finish weeks on the positive. So the quickest way to do this is Swiatek didn't cover. She won pretty close, so we're down 2 units. And our only other loss was the Marlins, who got destroyed. It was 20-4 when I last checked, and it was like the bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th. Marlins were like 1 out away from being cooked. So, yeah, they're getting baked. So I guess it's fitting they lose 420. But I got them. I think they're gonna get one of the next 2, and that's kind of my whole logic with betting the Marlins. Anyway, we missed Swiatek down 2 units, and we missed the Marlins down 4. We got the rest. So Royals Rangers went over 8.5. So that was for 4 units, as you can see, putting us at even. White Sox Cardinals went over, putting us up 1 unit. We went up 2.5 more units for the plus 250 for Ant. So 3.5. And then we got 3.2 because we had a leg 2 at 160. So 6.7 units in the profit today is how we finished. There's nothing outgoing, so that's the final total, which helps a little bit. It gets us under the 10 unit mark, meaning we do good on our leg threes tomorrow, and we'll probably finish in the positive, even if it's very slightly. If we don't, obviously it won't be a very good week. And 6.7 puts us back over 110, just barely. But this should be where we're at right now. So I think we're at yeah, we're at 103.8, I think, right? So I think it's 110.5. I might be off by a decimal or two. I think it was at 103.8 before I just fixed it. So that puts us at 110.5. So anyway, actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, 6.7. Okay. I think I got that right. If I'm off, it's by a few decimal points. So here's tomorrow's plays. I figured I'd run through them while I was, as I always do. I got the Marlins covering the A's. You can see we're going hard on the Marlins. They're so bad at covering. They have to eventually get them in. Like 2 or 3 times in a row now, we've taken the alt line and they've won by 1 run, or we've taken the cover and they've won by 1 run. So they've burnt us a few times. So they haven't won by multiple runs much at all this year. So the public is not taking that, I don't think. So I think there's a good chance it pays out. It's almost even money straight up. They're like plus 110, 115. So you're looking at about plus 185 for the alt line. For 4 units, that would be nice. I like the value there because obviously on the day it would pay around 7.5 units just if we get that one. Same deal with Angels cover Guardians. It's almost a pick 'em, but the Angels are like plus 110, and I think they're actually 115 and the Marlins are 110. But that's going to be a leg 2 for 2 units. I'm just basically taking them to cover one of the next 2 games. And the Guardians are in like the 70 percentile covering. They're just insane. So I think, again, the numbers always bear out with those metrics. So I got the Angels covering that, the alt line. That's going to be plus 190 for 2 units. I got the Mariners Astros going over 8.5. And we already got them earlier in the series, and I usually won't play it twice. But the Mariners are just so bad. They're like 22% on the over. And again, we're working our way into the season now. We're not just like 10 games in. So even for a baseball season, we're a decent bit in, and teams just don't finish in the 20, 30 percentiles on the over-unders, maybe the high 30s. So I think Mariners go on a little bit of an over spree going forward. So I got the over 8.5 for 4 units. Magic Cavs, I got the under 194.5. It's one of the lowest over-unders I've seen. It's definitely the lowest I've seen in the playoffs. And it might be the lowest I've seen all year. And I just think basketball fans have become conditioned to expect 50 points a quarter. And if you score below that, it's like an anomaly, a rarity. Even with teams that are lower scoring, just because, again, the over-unders just dropped off a cliff. Like, after the All-Star break, it's like the NBA knew fans were onto them. And they were like, okay, we got to shave about 30 points off these games. So teams that were being set in the 250s, like the Pacers, back when they were playing nuts, started getting set in like the 230s. And then teams that were being set at like the 210, 220s, like your Knicks, your Cavs, your Timberwolves, now they're set in the 190s. It's insane, and nobody's questioning it. But I would imagine more people are just taking the over because it seems like the obvious play. Again, even with low-scoring games. These guys did 199 the last game. We had the under 199.5, so it actually came through for us. But, 199, now it's at 5 points lower. Just makes me think people are going to take the over. So I got the under there. That's leg 3 for 4 units. So we got a couple leg 3s. And then the game itself, they're very disposable to me. It's not like a stay-away game because I do still think the Cavs have a little more juice to offer the playoffs. I guess the Magic have that, underdog story, but there's a lot of teams that can make that claim. So, again, Celtics playing the Heat and then the Magic just feels kind of counterintuitive. I think it makes more sense that they step up and play a better team, like the Cavs, and they can have Donovan Mitchell look good. Unless they're just giving up on Mitchell because of all the love they want to give Anthony Edwards, because that definitely could be the case. But Mitchell did just drop like 50, I think, so I still think, if anything, they're going to ride with Mitchell. So I got the Cavs covering the Magic 3.5. That's just going to be for 1 unit, though. So, yeah, definitely just if we do 2 of our 3 leg 3, well, we got, 3 leg 3s. If we hit 2 of our 3 leg 3s tomorrow, very good chance we could finish in the positive, especially because Marlins A's is such a big one. If Angels come through, that'd be nice. So you could just say if baseball comes through tomorrow, we're probably in a good spot. But either way, looking good. We haven't dipped under 100 since we got over 100, and we came pretty close a couple times, so I don't think we're going to. It's kind of like crypto. You'll see a dip for a bit, but it's always up long term. But yeah, I'm again with the finals. We had a really good read on game one. I think the Wolves take it in like 6, maybe 7, just because of this ridiculous out of nowhere Anthony Edwards push. And then, like I said, what's interesting is they play the Mavs, and if you get Celtics, we have Hamas and Israel's colors, so it's really interesting to me. That's why I like the Mavs to beat the Thunder, and I'll go into that too. That series hasn't started yet, obviously, but just a couple of things going through my mind. I really think the Thunder and Nuggets are both getting booted, and we're gonna get Wolves Mavs, and we're gonna get Pacers Celtics. We've been off on a lot of the early matchups, but even if you watch my first playoff video that I did, I think I put it in the description of my last video. We got like the final teams like down to a T like so far. We didn't have the Wolves doing as well as they are, but as far as like it being the Mavs in the West and in the East it being the Celtics, that's at least my prediction. I'm not saying that's guaranteed, but the teams basically representing the finals. I still think the prediction we had originally might be right. So we'll see. Still firm on the Celtics. I know a lot of people are telling me they're the Niners of basketball. The difference is the Niners were feared. The Celtics are getting laughed at. So there's a slight difference. There's not going to be money on the Celtics. Last I checked, they were still minus odds to win the East. Nobody's going to take that with how hot the Knicks are playing, with the upside to the Pacers. So that's just my opinion. Wanted to go into a few things, but figured I would cover our recap while we were at it for everybody on here. And then, like I said, for everyone on YouTube, I think we're pretty over the target as far as Ant, and not just Ant, but just the whole story that the playoffs has given us. So we could probably ride a lot more of these plus 250s going forward. Vegas might up it now and make his over-under around 31 points or something. That's what they did with Jalen Brunson once people started getting wise. So we'll have to see what they do, but a good start nonetheless. So take care and happy earnings.